as I said, my introduction to medicine from being a physicist was really through 5 years of learning and practicing homeopathy in India. So this gave me a lot of material to think and compare it with all I knew from being a physicist. And of course I read a lot of books, and everywhere homeopathy was called energetic medicine. And then as a physicist I could say, well, but what's the energy in homeopathy? And this created a contradiction in my mind which I could not solve for many years, because of course I knew all the traditionally known forms of energy, which is heat and cold, then electricity, then magnetism, then gravitational energy, then electromagnetic energy, which is mostly light, and mechanical energy, which is mainly pressure and forces. And none of those energies would fit into homeopathy. I mean, there was no energy which could be measured by any system. And of course I knew about those books who measured homeopathic potencies in a spectrometer, and they found that different homeopathic preparations, it would give a different spectrum. And so I thought, of course, it's kind of must be some form of light energy. So electromagnetic energy is what you measure in a spectrometer. But I was this favorite enough that I still had a very good connection to the company I created in Munich, who is now the world leader in making spectrometers and polarimeters. And I just told them, well, send me the best one and I'll put homeopathic remedies in there and really measure them spectroscopically. And I thought that's a great way to show that homeopathy is real. It's not something placebo, it's something that can be measured. It's so great, then we can find what is really in a homeopathic preparation. And so I put those homeopathic remedies into the spectrometer, and I was shocked to see it didn't show anything. It just showed as if there was only water. So after I needed some time to basically get over this shock, it really was a blessing, because now I knew it's not at least one of the known forms of energy. So this brought me further into my search for an answer, and I also started to use electrodermal screening, which is measuring like a point probe, where you give the client one electrode in one hand, and with the other electrode you measure at different points. So what you're doing, you're measuring simply the resistance which goes from this one electrode to the point where you're testing. And so there's electrodermal screening practitioners who test homeopathic remedies or whatever remedies they want to test by seeing, once the value of this measurement goes to a certain value which is considered healthy, which is usually the number 50, then this is a remedy which is balancing or appropriate for this person. So I tried this for at least 3 years, and what I found is that it really depends on many parameters. One is that the pressure you apply, then the speed of application of the electrode, then another is the humidity of the person, then it's simply also your state of mind. And so I could clearly see it's not as objective as all those companies who sell this system as a physical analysis device really pretend. And what you're doing is really more like a pendulum. A pendulum which is very, very sensitive to many things inside of you and in your environment, and it gives you an indication, but it's not more than a pendulum. So this was another shocking experience, and I started to really lose faith in all of what's called alternative medicine. And then there was this other types of machine which were called Bioresonance, and they told people, well, we are measuring the frequencies of the person, then we filter it and we give it back to the person, or we invert the frequencies, we give it back, and this is the way to cure. And then I ask people, well, let's put an oscilloscope on one of your measuring probes, and then we'll see what kind of frequencies that are actually coming from your client. And we did, and what did we see? Nothing except the noise which is in the environment from, of course, from the local TV station, from all the handy radiation in the environment. So we saw like a real noise on the oscilloscope, but nothing reproducible, nothing which would give a hint towards a person's individualized state. So I asked those people, yeah, where are those frequencies? And they say, well, they are too subtle. They are basically merged into this noise, but our equipment can filter it and then work with it. Of course, this is the type of paraphysics which is very common today. Saying that we cannot see something but we can work with it is a contradiction which can only work for people who are not trained in physics. So again, also bioresonance was another aspect, and also I talked with practitioners. They gave me little stories that they forgot one time to plug in their unit, and they got still very good results. So after all these different experiences, it finally came to a conclusion which was surprisingly simple, and this is like how all inventions or all discoveries are really surprisingly simple, that I understood besides energy there is something else which is very crucial for diagnostic and also for treatment, which is, I found very simply the name, information. So information was really, had become for me the other part of treatment which is crucial for success. And then once I had this understanding, I looked more into the organon written by Hahnemann 200 years ago, and I was kind of surprised that even he 200 years ago had come to the same conclusion. For example, you can read this now in the organon, it's not something I'm making up. When he had a person where he wanted to give a certain remedy, but he didn't have it in his pocket, what did he do? He just wrote it on a piece of paper, and then used this piece of paper, put it in some water, and then gave this water to the person to drink. So he clearly understood it's not substance, but also it's not energy. Actually, at his time, the term energy was just discovered or invented 50 years, so nobody really was talking in terms of energy with respect to everything in their life. And he did not even have this concept of energy. So he was just thinking in terms of this, does the substance do something or not? And he found just putting a piece of paper into this water would have the same effect than having a preparation, a homeopathic preparation of the same kind. So he knew it is information that works, and there's many ways to apply information. Like there's this new science now, messages from water, where somebody just puts a label on a bottle of water and then finds that it crystallizes in a different way. So these were all confirmations of my understanding that it's something besides energy, which is best called information, that has a profound effect on healing, and that this was really, that this should become the focus of my investigation and my future studies. And so this was for me the birth of informational medicine. But now I can see, like in Germany, there's already since 5 years an informational medicine society, and it is very clear to me now that homeopathy should not be called an energetic medicine, because it really is an informational medicine, like many other forms which I would find later on. And this was really the starting point for a new way for me to look at medicine in general.